Dubai is one of the greatest symbols of success in the 21st century. Luxurious, fast-paced, tax-free, frictionless, limitless. Burj Khalifa, Palm Jumeirah, supercars, 7-star hotels, shopping malls that look like they stepped out of the future. From the outside, it looks like a paradise built in the middle of the desert. But the more perfect it seems, the more one might wonder, what is being hidden? Because behind the lights, behind the glamorous travel films, behind the image of a paradise for the super rich, more and more signs indicate that Dubai is not as stable as it appears. The dark sides of labor, the soulless feeling of a city that is only beautiful to look at, and the cracks in trust, safety, and image. All of these are pushing Dubai into a question that has never been so frightening. Is this still the dream of the future, or just an extremely expensive illusion? And what lies beneath that glamorous facade is not just a hidden corner, but possibly the beginning of a much larger crack. Dubai is not an ordinary city. And this is not a video that hates Dubai or praises Dubai. What you are about to watch is an attempt to dissect a phenomenon that is increasingly causing people to ask, why is it that one of the richest, most modern, and desirable places in the world is starting to show unusual signs? In this video, we will go through 3 very clear layers. First, how Dubai has truly built its image of luxury and perfection. Secondly, what is the real cost behind that smoothness from the people? The cost of living, to how the city operates. And finally, most importantly, why are there increasing signs that this model is becoming difficult to sustain, even for those who once considered it a paradise? Because Dubai is not just a place to live. It is a system, and that system only works when everything continues to operate as initially promised. When you set foot in Dubai, the first feeling is not that you are in another country, but rather that you have just stepped into a futuristic simulation of humanity. Urban planners often refer to this as a Las Vegas on steroids, a supersized version of Las Vegas, where everything is exaggerated to a surreal extent. Some people see Dubai as a dream built to be sold to the whole world. A dream where everything seems to be optimized to perfection. No income tax, fast procedures, modern infrastructure, and a lifestyle where money is not a limit but a tool. From a barren desert, in just about 20-30 years, Dubai has transformed itself into a skyline that many countries have not achieved, even in centuries. Burj Khalifa is not just the tallest building in the world, it is a statement that no limit is insurmountable. But the allure of Dubai has never been solely in its buildings. It lies in the feeling that this city creates. From the moment you step off the plane at DXB Airport, through the icy cold air-conditioned corridors, to sitting in an autonomous taxi cruising down Sheikh Zayed Road, or witnessing the incredible speed of goods passing through Jebel Ali Port, businesses can establish and expand without limits. Everything happens without a hitch. And there's another noteworthy detail. Dubai is within an 8-hour flight radius of nearly 2/3 of the world's population. This turns it into a global hub, where the flow of people, money, and goods continuously passes through. And with over 80,000 millionaires and nearly 90% of the population being foreigners, Dubai is not just a city, it is an international platform designed to attract and retain the highest-paying individuals. What few people talk about is, Dubai wasn't actually built with oil as many think. It was built with strategic vision, brand positioning ability, and an infrastructure system designed to create certainty. Here, you are not just buying an apartment or a vacation, you are buying the feeling that your life will run more smoothly than anywhere else. And perhaps that is the true product of Dubai. If you find this perspective interesting, follow the channel, because in the next part we will start to unravel a much harder question. Why are more and more people starting to feel that dream is no longer as real as it used to be? Did you know Dubai is one of the very few places in the world that can evoke 2 completely opposite emotions at the same time? From one perspective, it is the pinnacle of modern ambition. Glass towers rise up in the desert, artificial islands visible from space, shopping malls where you can ice skate, watch sharks, and shop all in the same afternoon, all designed to make you think, this is the future. But from another perspective, Dubai makes many people feel unreal. Many people describe this place as an Instagram city so beautiful that it seems almost optimized just for taking pictures. Some others call it a movie set, a stage perfectly constructed, where everything is in its place and people with urban spaces. Life here often unfolds in separate blocks, from apartments, parking lots, shopping centers, offices. There are few moments of natural street life like in New York, Tokyo, or Paris. This makes many people feel that the city operates very efficiently, but also very impersonally. And that excessive perfection creates a reverse effect. When everything looks too neat, too clean, too expensive, people start to wonder, what is being hidden? This is no longer a matter of aesthetics. It is a very real psychological reaction. People tend to believe in things that have scratches, and things that are too perfect are often met with suspicion. If you've ever felt that way, you're not the only one. And if you want to understand why this feeling is getting stronger, follow the channel because in the next part, we will delve into a much harder question. Who is Dubai really built for? And who is behind that perfect facade? Imagine you are standing in front of the Burj Khalifa, watching the reflective glass sparkle under the desert sun. Have you ever wondered? Who cleans those more than 24,000 glass panels every day under the heat that can reach 50 degrees Celsius? The answer lies in an invisible army. In Dubai, there is a haunting paradox. The more dazzling the city, the more its underbelly must be hidden. We are talking about the kafala system, a specialized term in labor management in the Gulf region, where the residency rights of workers are tightly bound to an individual or sponsoring organization, kafil. In theory, this is a model that supports rapid growth, but in reality, it creates an absolute power structure. Many migrant workers from South Asia arrive here with dreams of a better life, but as soon as they land, reality begins to change. There is a fact that few people notice. The population of unskilled laborers makes up nearly 70% of the total workforce in the UAE, yet they have almost no voice in urban operational decisions. You can see them in green or orange protective uniforms, traveling on non-air-conditioned buses at 5 a.m. While the super rich enjoy their lattes in air-conditioned comfort, they are performing jobs that urban experts call 3D: dirty, dangerous, difficult. A true story about a worker I once knew. He spent 2 years' salary just to pay the broker's fee to get to Dubai, but upon arrival, his passport was confiscated under the pretext of safekeeping. This is precisely the point that critics refer to as the debt trap. When they don't have a passport and are in debt, their ability to resist or choose another job is almost non-existent. Before we continue, I would like to ask you, if you find these multifaceted and authentic perspectives valuable, don't forget to subscribe so we can decode the most complex social models in the world today together. Okay, and now, look at the contrast between two worlds just a 20-minute drive apart. On one side is the magnificent downtown Dubai, where streams of money flow through the exchanges. On the other side is Sonapur, a name meaning land of gold, but it is where hundreds of thousands of workers are concentrated in cramped dormitories. Here, Dubai's luxurious dream is reduced to shared sleeping quarters. Dubai sells the luxury dream to the world, but the people who build it are rendered invisible within that very dream. They are not residents, they are resources. They have no roots. They only have a contract term. Why is this a matter of survival? Because this is not just a story about ethics or human rights, but about operational risk. Consider Dubai as a luxury watch, and these workers are the smallest gears. When the gears are excessively worn down by inequality, the entire system will malfunction. If one day the trust of this workforce collapses, or geopolitical barriers prevent this influx of people, Dubai will come to a halt immediately. Without anyone to clean, without anyone to deliver, without anyone to operate the grand construction sites, then the skyscrapers will merely be lifeless steel blocks in the desert. The fragility of Dubai lies in its absolute dependence on external forces. Our audience, those with critical thinking, surely recognize that. An empire built on the silent sacrifices of the majority without providing them long-term guarantees is an empire gambling with time. But this trap is not everything. Beside internal pressures, Dubai is also facing an external storm, where the flow of money and trust from the ultra-wealthy is beginning to show signs of shifting. Even when the labor system continues to operate smoothly, Will the trust of billionaires, those who invest in these sandcastles, remain steadfast in the face of increasingly heated geopolitical fluctuations? At this point, the story of Dubai begins to shift to another level deeper and also more significant. Dubai does not only sell extravagance and predictability. There is a noteworthy detail. About two-thirds of the world's population is within an 8-hour flight radius from Dubai. This is not just a geographical advantage, but the foundation for Dubai's role as a global transit hub. People, goods, money all pass through here. And what keeps that flow uninterrupted is the belief that Dubai is always stable. This is the point that many people often overlook. When comments refer to Dubai as a house of cards, they are not just talking about the surface image, they are touching the internal structure. Such a system can be extremely powerful as long as trust remains intact. But if that trust begins to be revalued, the effect does not stop at one sector. It can spread from tourism to real estate, from logistics to finance. In other words, Dubai is not just a city. It is an ecosystem dependent on the continuous flow of people, capital, and expectations. If you find this perspective helps you understand Dubai better, follow the channel because in the next part, we will delve into the most important question. What is really slowing down that flow, and is this the first sign of a bigger crack? Now the question is no longer whether Dubai is impressive or not, but rather, what is causing more and more people to start questioning it? The answer does not lie in a single event. It lies in the many layers of risk quietly piling up. The first layer is the risk in terms of image. For many years, Dubai has been positioned as an aspirational city, a place representing success, speed, and opportunity. But recently, the world's perception is gradually changing. On social media and international forums, more and more opinions describe Dubai with different phrases. Overbuilt, too artificial, all surface, no depth. Some people even see it as an expensive illusion, an illusion maintained by money and image. An interesting detail. Content about the darker side of Dubai often has significantly higher engagement than regular travel videos. That shows the audience's mindset has shifted from admiration to curiosity and suspicion. And with a city that heavily relies on image, this shift in perception is not a small matter. The second layer is social risk, less talked about, but very important. Dubai operates based on a unique demographic structure, mostly expatriates, meaning those who come for opportunities. This creates an extremely flexible system, but also very transactional. In other words, the relationship between people and the city here often relies on a calculation, cost, benefit. A thought-provoking question. What will happen when that calculation changes? If the cost of living increases, if opportunities decrease, if the sense of safety is no longer absolute, do these people have any reason to stay? Unlike cities with deep histories and roots like London or Tokyo, Dubai does not have the same level of emotional attachment from its residents, and that makes its ability to retain people heavily dependent on whether the system remains attractive or not. If you find these signals familiar, you are not alone. And if you want to understand more deeply how these risks can affect the future of Dubai, follow the channel. The third layer, and perhaps the most sensitive, is geopolitical risk. Dubai has long been seen as a safe haven in a complex region. But in the context of an increasingly unstable world, the line between stability and risk exposure is beginning to blur. When shipping insurance costs rise, when tourist flows become more cautious, when businesses start diversifying locations to reduce dependence, these factors do not cause an immediate collapse, but they can slow down the flow that Dubai relies on. A city that thrives on trust will not lose everything after just one incident, but it can change very quickly when enough people start thinking about another option. And then, after peeling back each layer, we will move on to the next question. A question that is truly important at this moment. Is this just a temporary crack, or the first sign of a much larger change? As mentioned above, the biggest question right now is this the end of Dubai, or just the first crack? And the answer, if viewed frankly, does not lie at the two extremes. When talking about the collapse of an empire, we often imagine cataclysmic explosions or crumbling towers. But in modern economics, the death of an icon often occurs much more quietly. It is the loss of surplus value. Dubai is not collapsing in the sense of disappearing from the map. It is at risk of becoming an ordinary city, losing what is called the Dubai premium, the extra price the world is willing to pay just to be associated with the glamour of this place. Look at the physical evidence that is present. The artificial islands of the World Project, or Palm Jebel Ali, once hailed as the eighth wonder, are facing harsh challenges from nature. Data from geologists indicate that some areas of the islands are showing signs of subsidence and are being eroded by seawater. The cost of dredging sand and maintaining these structures against ocean erosion is becoming a huge financial burden. The question is a real estate project truly an asset, or is it an environmental debt disguised by a glamorous facade? If you are looking for the truth behind sensational headlines, subscribe to the channel now so you don't miss in-depth analyses of economics and urban development. The biggest crack is not in the infrastructure, but in the brand storyline. In psychology, there is a concept called innocence lost. Once the global audience has begun to see the darker sides of labor and the absurdity of megaprojects, they will never be able to look at Dubai with the same naive admiration as 10 years ago. Luxury now comes with a sense of skepticism. When trust is damaged, the city's surplus value will evaporate. An apartment in Dubai was once highly valued because it was a symbol of absolute success. But if the world starts to see it as a symbol of excessive vanity, that value will plummet uncontrollably. In terms of numbers, Dubai is having to take painful steps to save itself. After decades of promoting itself as a tax-free paradise, the UAE has had to implement value-added tax, VAT, and most recently, a 9% corporate income tax. This is an implicit acknowledgement that the model of spending without taxation is no longer sustainable in the face of public debt reaching hundreds of billions of dollars. Dubai is transforming from a playground for billionaires into a country with a more regulated financial system. However, this normalization is a double-edged sword. If there are no longer tax privileges and absolute safety, why should the ultra-rich choose Dubai over Singapore or Zurich? However, we must be fair. Dubai has an extremely strong ability to adapt. They overcame the 2008 crisis and the COVID-19 pandemic with flexible policies. But this time, their adversaries are time and the shift in global perception. The collapse of Dubai, if it happens, will not be a pile of rubble, but rather a drift into oblivion when it is no longer the center of attention. So, what will remain when the spotlight gradually fades? Will Dubai find a new soul? Or will it forever be a beautiful but empty illusion in the desert? To answer that question, we need to look at the final chapter of this story. Not a forecast of collapse, but a lesson about the nature of belief in the 21st century. Dubai may still exist. The towers still stand there. Flights are still landing. The flow of money may not have left yet. But one thing is changing the way the world sees Dubai. No longer just a symbol of wealth and perfection, but increasingly becoming an open question. Is this a miracle of ambition or a model more fragile than it appears? And perhaps, the end of a city does not begin with its collapse. It begins with the moment people stop believing in the story it once told. Dubai is teaching us a valuable lesson about development. An empire can be built with steel, glass, and gold, but it can only exist sustainably if it possesses a soul and genuine human connection. I would love to hear your perspective. Do you think Dubai is experiencing a temporary shock, or is this a sign of a larger change? If you enjoy in-depth analytical content like this, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos, where we not only look at the surface, but also try to understand what is really happening behind the scenes. The content in the video is analytical and synthesized from various sources of information, perspectives, and observations. The goal is to provide a multifaceted picture, not to assert absolute truths or represent the entirety of reality in Dubai. Viewers should approach information selectively and consider additional reference sources. Thank you for joining us. See you in the next videos.